Well, Will, it's that time of year again. Look who's back. Look who made an appearance.
I mean, Aggie softball, TV with TV.
Oh.
Holla.
You know,
I think she hates it when I say that now because I use it like twice a day in front of her.
It's your call.
now Connor McQueen had a name for his show. It's called The Red Zone. Your goal is to have to come up with a name for your own show.
Ooh.
Well, Connor didn't come up with it. We
I'm
did.
on the spot.
Yeah, you don't need it right now. Think on it.
How is it? How is
Okay.
it not Aggie softball TV?
Because it's a radio show, Will.
Yeah.
No, we YouTube her segment. I mean, it works.
Yeah.
T-Money. That's what he calls me.
T-Money.
T-Money.
Go with T-Money.
The
I like it.
The T-Money.
Tori Vidales here, by the way, for those not watching on the internet.
Oh, when we said TV, they knew who it was. I guarantee you.
It's the Friday edition of Studio 12. Matt and Will with you here. Tori Vidales, Aggie softball, back for another season with us. She'll be with us every week. Speaking of season, a week from today, and your first guest of the season. It's a pretty honored thing. Why don't you give it a little introduction here?
This is our hitting coach, Coach Glasgow, Gerry Glasgow. I don't ever say your first name, so that's kind of weird.
Yeah, kind of unusual.
Coach G.
That's the first and only
Coach
time. Don't let her
Glasgow.
get away with it again.
I know.
Coach.
Watch him when we get off. Don't say my first
don't
name.
call me.
You start referring to me as Gerry, we're going to have problems
I know,
here.
right?
When you can hit like Tori, you could call me a lot of things and we'll get by with it.
When you have a swing like that,
Just hit.
just go.
Just hit.
Just
So
make
when
sure it's
you're,
not on your shoulder.
When your
Right.
teammates found out that Coach was going to be your first guest, get a little jealous, get a little upset there, or they didn't know their time's coming?
I think they were excited because a lot of them were on the show last year and they knew how it worked and they knew how much fun it was. And for us with Coach Glasgow, it's such a cool dynamic because we'll talk hitting so much, but then we can just let loose with him. Like he'll mess around in the cages and we'll just be like, hey, what'd you go do this weekend? He'll be like, oh, I went hunting. He'll tell us all about it. And then, oh my gosh, my favorite memory was he sat in this chair. Do you remember this? It was a plastic chair and he just sat down really hard and it broke. Like it just like collapsed, but it was a broken chair. So we had all known that it was broken and he just sat in it and we just laughed for like 10 minutes in the hitting cages. Oh my gosh, it was so funny. And he was just like, I can't believe I just broke that chair.
I'm hard on chairs.
Hey, me too. I got you.
Oh man, it was funny. So I think they know that we were going to have fun on the show today. So I'm excited.
Hunting, huh? That's your thing?
I like hunting. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you like to hunt?
Quail, ducks, and home runs. So
Oh,
Things that fly is what I'm gathering
things
here.
that fly.
They fly a long ways.
Yeah.
Coach Glasgow's interest list. Things that fly.
Do you get a chance to get out? Well, I guess now you won't, but do you get a chance to get out a little bit? Or
It's
just
hard at this time of year. It's time to put up the toys and get serious. So.
Yeah. Back to business.
Yeah.
I mean,
See, I have to ask y'all because I was Tuesday. It was right around 1 o'clock. I need to know where both of you were because I was driving through West Campus,
yeah. Did your car get hit?
Olson Boulevard, and I mean there were a slew of softballs just laying on the road. It would be over the right field wall.
Oh yeah.
That's why this guy's smiling right
I,
now, Will.
I thought of both of you. I was like, we've got some batting practice going on. Is Tori at the plate just hitting bombs all over Olson Boulevard?
Well, so hitting groups are from 1 to 3. So people at A&M don't drive by Olson 1 to 3 West Campus.
This was about 1:15.
Yep.
on
So that's our
Tuesday.
first group. So I think that was Sarah and Caitlin. They were in that first group, and they're lefties. So the way our field works is the left center and left field, the fence behind it is really far back. But when you get to the right side, since the road is right there, the fence is a little bit closer. So literally any home run that a lefty hits goes into the road. But even yesterday on my Snapchat, I put this, and I was getting out of my car to go to hitting groups, and I look over at the first row of cars, and I see a yellow blob on the ground. I'm like, please tell me that's not a softball. So I walk over there, and it is a softball, and I pick it up, and I'm like, who hit this all the way out here? Because it was in lot 100 by Olson past the first row of cars. I was like, oh my gosh, someone really hit the ball this far. And I look up and I see another one in front of that one. And then I look on the street and there's about 4 or 5 scattered down the line. And I was like, oh my gosh, what are they doing? And I walk in, they're like, home run derby today. Are you excited? And I'm like, that explains it.
Yeah.
Wind was
That
blowing
explains
out.
I mean, most of these were laying on the curb and got all the way across, but there were 2 or 3 of them in the middle of the street.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody's going to have a blowout here.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, the more softballs that are in the street, the happier this man
That's
right here
right.
gets.
Someone tweeted the other day that their car got hit. They were like, drove by Aggie softball and my car got hit. Good thing my window is still intact. I was like, ooh.
They hit a car really hard yesterday. We all heard it. Of course, the batter's laughing. I said, hey, the poor girl's probably crying.
I know. I know.
Smashed, but
Well, like, someone will hit it and we're listening. Oh, that's fence. And then someone hit one and me and Ashley looked at each other and we were like, oh, that's a car. And we were just sitting there for like 3 seconds and we hear the big bang and it hit a car. I was like, solid.
Got it.
Wait for it. Got it.
Wait for it.
Tori Vidales and Associate Head Coach Gerry Glasco with us. Aggie softball starts the season a week from today. The Aggie Classic at the Aggie Softball Complex, final year of the stadium. Definitely want to talk about that in just a little bit. But, Coach, for you, guys had a great year at the plate last season. But to you, I would think championships are won and success is won in the offseason, all that work that people don't see on the field. What did you see out of your hitters in the offseason? How proud are you of the steps they made getting ready for 2017?
I'm really proud of the girls. They've really bought into our program. This is my 3rd season here. And so when Tori came in, there was like no upper class examples. And it was really hard on the upperclassmen to do the things in a manner that I teach hitting. And we use a lot of machines. We do a lot of unorthodox stuff. And the freshman class was awesome. They bought right in, as did the upper class. But I just think it's really made it a lot easier now with the upperclassmen like Tori and Kristen for the freshmen that come in. And they've all bought in and they all work really hard. And you can see huge improvement over Christmas break, especially in the freshman class.
Yeah.
The balls now are just going so much farther than they were in the fall. And they're coming off the bat a lot hotter.
For you mentioned this last year. You talked about how, the first year under coach, it was a little tough because you're trying to figure out how things work. But year 2, which was last year, you knew how it worked. So you felt like you were that much ahead of the game before you even stepped on the field.
Right. I think it's important for people to understand that when you get to college, you don't have that opportunity to just start fresh. Usually the coach that's there has been there for a while. And with Coach Glasgow coming in my first year, it was kind of like everyone was on the same page. So we all had to start fresh. But then once I kind of got my feet under me and knew what he expected of us and knew how to get to that point, it was much easier for me to help the younger kids. And so even now, being a junior, 3rd year with him, it's easier for me to help the freshmen like Sarah when she came in, Sarah Hudek. She would be like, hey, can you watch me? Can you watch me? Like, watch me do this. Watch me do this. Am I doing it right? And I can point it out and I can recognize it earlier and easier. So it's easy for me to do that. But then it also comes in like how much work are they going to put in? And I think that's something that our freshman class this year has done really well, is worked really hard outside of practice and on their own time, is coming in and putting in work and working really hard over the break to get where they want to be and where Coach Glasgow wants them to be. So I think they've shown huge progress over the break and just over the off season of really improving their swing and fixing those little technique flaws that they may have had. So I think that speaks volumes for their class.
And that's critical, too, for you, isn't it, to sort of have the quote, coach on the field to help these kids. You can work with them as much as you can in the dugout, but to be able to have a person like Tori or any of the upperclassmen catch them as they're coming off the field and say, this is what I saw, that's critical, too, isn't it?
Yeah, and in non-practice hours. When I come in, Coach Evans had a clear vision for the program, develop it into a championship program or a top-of-the-line SEC program. And so as part of that culture is we have to – the culture has to be of excellence and of competition. And so we can't be with the kids but a limit of 20 hours a week. But the kids, once they can rely on each other, they have unlimited access to the knowledge and things that we want to ingrain into their minds as they go through their 4 years.
Coach, with so many returnees this year, do you have some clarity of what the lineup may look like next Friday when you open the season?
Yes and no. I think we do. I think that obviously we got a really good upperclassman base, and we've got great leadership in the junior and senior class. But we've also got a lot of excitement with the young freshmen and sophomores. And the sophomore class last year were outstanding as freshmen. So it's going to be really competitive. By far the most competitive dugout we've had. And when we sit down and write that lineup for the opening weekend and you try to get all the kids that deserve to play into the lineup, Coach Evans is going to have some really tough decisions to make this year, which is exactly what we want in our program.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. Got Gerry Glasco, associate head coach, and then Tori Vidales, junior on the Aggie softball team with us. Season starts next Friday at the Aggie softball complex with the Aggie Classic. The Aggies will open with Lamar on Friday, a week from today, then play Central Michigan, Ohio State on Saturday, and close the tournament with Lamar on Sunday. Tori, for those fans that know a lot about this team, there are going to be a ton of names they recognize on this list as you go through the lineup. But for you, you've seen this freshman class that's coming in, and as we heard Coach talk about how competitive things are getting, and we also know that no spot is guaranteed on this program. But talk about your impression of the freshmen and the excitement to see them come in, and maybe some of the names that we haven't heard yet that we probably are going to see a lot of here in the spring.
Our freshman class consists of 5 players. So we have Miranda Miles, who is a first baseman. We have Blake Ann Fritch.
Let's go with Fritch.
Yeah, I know. I always
now,
ask her how to pronounce it, and she tells me, and I'm just like, okay, I got it. And then I lose it.
I'll
but
get that one day.
I know, right? So she's an outfielder. And then Peyton McBride, who's a pitcher, first baseman, and hitter. And then Sarah Hudek, outfielder, and Kelby Fortenberry, who's also an outfielder. And I think they have added so much depth to our team, and I think that's something that's really important. We have a very small team this year. We have a roster of 18 people, but we're also so deep this year. So my favorite thing about the freshman class is that when they came in, it opened up so many spots of who can we put where, can we adjust this, can we have this person play here. And in our maroon and white series, we saw a lot of that. We had a few injuries that kind of set us back a little bit, but then we had people that could plug in. So our outfielders were moving around. We had Keely and Erica coming into short and second. So we just had people moving around, and I think that's so important that they came in and were able to plug into those spots and still make it competitive. So with them, I think they're really going to make a difference, one in speed, because Kelby is pretty quick, so is Blake Ann, and I think Peyton's going to help us a lot. She's a slow, like off-speed lefty pitcher, so she has a lot of movement on her balls, and I think that's going to be a big challenge for our competitors whenever they're not prepared for her. So bringing that slow in after you have Sam and Lexi and Trent throwing gas, and then you get in there and everyone's going to be on their front foot not knowing what to expect. So I'm really excited about them. I think they have a lot of talent, and I think they still have so much more that they could improve. So I'm really excited to see them grow over the season and over their 4 years, because I think they're going to make an impact this year and for the rest of their careers.
Mm-hmm. I want to ask both of you, because you live in this world of playing softball in the SEC, how would you describe life in this sport, in this conference, knowing the difficulty week in and week out that you face?
Yeah. It's the best conference in all of college softball by far.
Brutal.
Yeah.
I would say brutal.
The short term.
Yeah.
Yeah, in any given year right now, 5 of the top 10 teams in the country are going to be out of the SEC. Mm-hmm. And we're going to have 10, 11 teams in the top 25 at some point during the season. Mm-hmm. So every week's a battle, and you just have to develop that culture of competitiveness where you just thrive in that environment. And
Mm-hmm.
if you don't, you can't be successful. And we're really doing, I think, a great job with our kids. We're ready to compete now.
And that when you speak of culture, Tori, does it have to be a roster that just relishes that? Is that the only way to go about it in the SEC? You better go all in or you have no shot.
Absolutely. I think a huge part of it, in my opinion, is the mental game of the SEC, because you're facing high caliber teams every single weekend. And if you do bad one weekend, you have to bounce back. And if you don't, they're going to attack you, and they know your weaknesses. They know where to get you at. So I think that's so huge for us to learn early in our careers, is that you're going to fail and you have to just pick yourself back up and keep moving. And especially with the SEC, we have so much tape and film and just so much record of what you've done previously. So it's important for us to know, hey, what did I mess up on? What can I fix? What can I do better? What do I need to do less of, or anything like that with the SEC? So once they know you, they're going to dissect every little thing. So bouncing back is such a huge thing for us, and I think that's something that everyone can do. Really, everyone can always do better at, and just the physical part. Once you buy in, I think nothing can really stop you. Once you're a team and you create that culture of getting to work every single day and going out there, going to war with your team, I think that's a huge part of the culture in our program.
She led me right to my next question, Coach, about the film in this league. And I think, the Pac-12's got that. The ACC's adding more of that this year. But in the SEC, how much has the availability of video, specifically for you maybe as you attack a pitcher, how much has that completely changed the game? You've been in this league a long time, and there have been tremendous hitters, but it seems like it's just growing.
Yeah, well, there's no limit to how much knowledge we can have of our upcoming pitchers. We're able to know where they want to go on 2-0, where they want to go on 3-1. On the other hand, if Tori hits 3 home runs this weekend, they know exactly what pitches and what location they were, and she probably don't get those locations, those pitches next weekend. So you always have to be trying to outrun the scouting report. And so, if we dominate the changeup this week, then next week we're going to expect not to get as much of that, and vice versa.
Yeah.
So film's huge. It's, being able to use it and use it to your advantage and to your kids' advantage, your program's advantage is one of the big challenges of being a coach in the SEC.
And the hitters in this league, and I've watched this sport for a long time, and I know you've coached it for even a lot longer than that. And you've got quite a few of these hitters on your roster, but does it amaze you when you sit in the dugout and see some of the pitches that some of these kids on these SEC teams hit, and sometimes hit out of the park for home runs that may be great pitches? I mean, the caliber of hitter in this league. Have you ever seen anything like it?
Yeah, no, the hitting is at all time. I mean, in college softball in the 90s, scores were 1-0, 2-1, 3-2, and now the scores are 13-12 and 10-9, and so it's the advancement of the hitters, and the mechanical side of hitting is so improved even from where it was 6 or 7 years ago. So it's fun to watch. It's also important for the pitchers to realize giving up a home run is part of the game. It's not, you can't let that affect you any more than the last pitch and move on to the next pitch. And a high score. If you're pitching the SEC, you're going to give up home runs and you're going to give up runs. And you've got to be able to move on and get past that.
Yeah.
So it's one of the challenges.
Yeah, for you, Tori, I guess as a hitter, it kind of works the other way. In maybe 10 years ago, you're down 3-4 runs in the last inning. Odds of you winning probably aren't very good. But now you got to lick your chops knowing that you're really not out of any game, are you?
Oh, absolutely. I feel like if you still have at least one out, you have a chance. And especially with our team, because I feel like we can make so many things happen. And I think adding that speed, too, just to our lineup is going to be tremendous outcomes for us. And just knowing that you can get up there and compete at the plate, even with these amazing all-SEC pitchers, that we can make things happen no matter what. So I think that's huge for us, and knowing that we can come back from any deficit.
How many bags are you going to steal this year?
Maybe a solid 4 this year.
There you go.
Hey,
what was it last year?
2 for 2.
4 for 4 this year
4
and
for
double
4.
the production?
Yeah, I mean, you can't go unless you know you're going to be safe, right?
You steal
For
up
me.
you go on the
That's your
back end
rule.
of the
That's
double
your
steal,
rule.
don't you?
The rule is if Keely steals third, then I'll steal second.
I think only she gets the stolen base for that, Keely. But
Hey, I stole it, so
Yeah.
I'm there.
hey,
I got a
I advanced the
1,000%.
bag. No big deal. But think of this next week as it's now officially game week when Monday starts. Do either of you start to get anxious and want the week to hurry up to get to that opening day?
Oh, I know I do. I know he does.
I've been
He's
anxious
probably
for a
up at – I know. This one, he'll wake up at 4 a.m. It's game day, ladies. Like, let's get ready. And I'm like, do you ever sleep? And he's like, no, not really.
He's been watching film all night.
No, he stays up so late. I remember one time he sent me a video at like 12 a.m. of my swing, and we were looking at something that I was working on. He was like, I think we need to do this, or you were right on this, or we need to do something. And I replied to him at 6:30 in the morning, 7 o'clock. I had to work out, and he replies back in 5 minutes. I'm like, did you not go to sleep? He's like, no, too much work to do. I'm like, what? That's crazy, but I get super anxious.
Nice to have a guy
I get
like
so
that in your
nervous.
corner.
Oh, absolutely.
Feels
He comes to
addictive.
practice, and he's just always smiling like, y'all ready to hit? And we're like, yeah, I guess you're ready to hit today. It's fun to come into that environment. But, yeah, game week is something special. You get there, and everyone's just kind of got those little butterflies. You know it's game day. You still get nervous all the time. It's just an awesome feeling to know that you're going out there chasing the same dream, and you have people behind you that support you, like the coaching staff and our training staff. And
here the fans.
yeah, and the fans. Like, those are huge parts of our game that influence us every day to want to be better and want to get out there and work. And, of course, we have our own goals, but it's so fun to go meet people that are cheering for us as well. So It's super exciting. I can't wait. It's going to be a great season.
And for you, Coach, as you hit the road recruiting throughout the summer and the fall and all that stuff, you now have a stadium that you can start using to kind of lure some people in. I know that the dirt's going to start moving pretty quick out there. How exciting is that for you? And I know, we've talked to Joe about it at length, but, for you as another member of the staff, how exciting is it for you to?
Yeah, it's really exciting for all of us. And, I've always loved the field that we have. My daughter played here, and I can remember, coming down for games and thinking, wow, this place is beautiful, and the campus is beautiful. So we're going from good to better, and really exciting. And in our culture right now, in our environment, in this SEC environment, it's extremely important that we have, a nice stadium and nice facilities for the girls to study in while they're there, to be treated in the training room, to see doctors. It's really going to be a big asset to us, no doubt.
You hear that, Tori? Study.
I know.
Not just hang out and watch TV.
I've actually gone up to the field sometimes really late just to study because you're so comfortable there and you're there so much that you don't realize your brain kind of checks out while you're there. So I got so much studying done at the field house. And now with the new stadium, there's going to be tables. They brought testing stuff in there not too long ago. We got to test out the chairs, and I was picturing myself sitting there and studying. I was like, okay, how do I get comfortable in this? How many different ways can I sit in this that I'm comfortable in? Because, when you study, it's a process. So
I got a feeling
there
some
for a
of you
while.
are just going to live there. Just
Hey,
pack a bag, stay in the lounge.
Might as well. You have everything you need. Shower,
the
bathroom,
Yeah.
The average fan would never understand how important that place is to those athletes because it becomes their home. Mm-hmm. And Coach Evans and Jeff Toole, our athletic director over softball, and our entire athletic department has done an unbelievable job of planning and researching. And it's really going to be a comfortable place where the kids can not only be a good ball player, but they can be a great student athlete and do well academically and make their life as comfortable as possible in this stressful 4 years, because it's extremely stressful being a student athlete.
Oh, no question.
Coach Evans has really went beyond in her research and getting exactly what the kids need for the study area, for the film area, for the student lounge area, for all the amenities, the doctor's offices. It's going to be really special.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. Sometime in 2018, the new stadium's going to open there. Oh, that's right. Senior year. How fitting. How fitting.
Yes.
Well, guys, appreciate
a ring and a home.
I appreciate the time. Thank y'all for coming in.
Oh, of course.
It's episode 1 in the books. You going to get any?
I'll be back.
Coach, you going to get any hunting in this weekend? Last free weekend?
No, I don't know. We'll see.
With
Depends how they hit in scrimmage tomorrow.
I know. He'll
You ever take this one out?
No, I haven't. But
pow pow.
I don't know.
That's a good question.
Maybe when she graduates, we
should do a team hunting bonding
excursion.
event. Ooh, excursion. I like that word better. That would
Well,
be
the
fun.
home run hunting
Sounds
starts
like a
soon
Texas
enough,
thing.
and that's,
Yeah, this is a Texas thing.
the home run season starts soon, so
It's
you'll
amazing
get
how
your
many
fill
of the
there.
girls hunt and fish. When I first got here, Rachel Fox would come up, show me bass pictures, and the girls now, there's several of them bring me pictures, show me their dead animals and stuff. Like, wow, this softball team.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Welcome to Texas.
I told him that I was going hunting, and he was like, "Where are you going? When you doing this?" So I went with Sarah and Ashley to Sarah's family. They have a little hunting thing out there. I was so mad. It was raining. It was cold, and I did not see one sign of life in the forest, and I was so mad. I was like, "This is what hunting is. I'm never coming back."
Now, is it Ashley who's from Center Point?
Yes,
Kerrville. Yeah, you got to
Centerpoint.
hunt out there.
Oh, she hunts a lot. She'll tell me.
I had her pegged when I heard where she's from.
Oh,
When
yeah.
you mentioned hunting and fish, she's got to be one of them.
She is. She said her dad and her brother go so much, over winter break. I would text her and be like, "Hey, are you doing your workouts today?" She'd be like, "Yeah, I'm waiting on my brother to get back to go hit or throw. They're out hunting right now." And I swear it was 4 out of 6 days that I text her for what they were hunting. I was like, "Man, y'all got anything else to do out there?"
Coach
Not
Glasgow
really.
sees no problem with this.
I know. He's probably like, "Sounds
Hitting
good to
and
me."
hunting.
They're training their eyes. Training their eyes.
So, thanks again, guys. Appreciate it. And we'll see you a week from today at the
Yeah.
softball complex.